Hello everyone, welcome back to the Pivot Pen, a writing series that I created, focuses on the writing process itself. It is not about story structure, writer's block, imposter syndrome, or honing your craft. It's for writers seeking change while navigating the creative shift to provide a structured approach that works for you. My name is Rachel Robinson. I have 22 fiction titles spanning 3 series and short stories in various quarterly magazines, anthologies, you name it, under the pen name Michael A. Jacob. So the Pivot Pen is a play on words because this is a playpen for writers, a safe place, a safe space, more likely to brainstorm different ways to pivot. So there's no judgment here. Your methods are not wrong. It may simply need a little tweaking. So I hear a lot about how something must be done a certain way, and as I said in the previous videos, I think that's ridiculous. Rules, can be broken. You just have to make sure, you know the rules first, and then you can finagle and reshape, them to fit your needs. So I would go into the aspects of writing that I believe are critical to the writing process. In the first video, I talked about doing a diagnosis to kind of help you, recognize when you need to shift gears, when to, pivot. Yes, that's the word for the year, pivot. But first things first, bit of housekeeping. These sessions are not part of an accredited class. So let's get that out of the way. It's for information purposes only. I am not here to teach or make claims to improve your writing. That's, and of course, all materials are the product of Magic Works, LLC. Please do not, make copies of any of the parts, screenshots, and definitely do not distribute them without the express permission of the owner, who is me. So ask me first. So that out of the way, let's jump into part 2, or segment 2. I think that's how I worded it. So to recap, stagnation included boredom, inconsistency, and disconnect. So let's discuss the root cause of stagnation. Those deal with motivation, genre fatigue, and skill level. This segment, it's gonna be short and sweet because we're only going to be tackling the first 2. The section on elevated skill set we'll talk later in the next video because it's a little more extensive. So lack of motivation could stem from not having the story's vision. Plain and simple. Does it inspire you? Don't try to write something you don't want or like. I mean, that should be a no-brainer. If you find yourself staring at the page for more than 10 minutes, step back and evaluate. Or reevaluate. I know. I can hear the arguments already because so many other courses that I have seen tells you to just, sit there and wait for something to rise up or just start writing gibberish until it forms a scene. It starts forming real sentences. To me, that is a waste of basically everyone's valuable time. And it doesn't do your writing efforts justice. It really doesn't. So yeah, write what you like, write what you want. Everything else comes after that. So next is genre fatigue. And yes, that is a thing. I've encountered a lot of authors who write to market trends, or they fall into the trap of only writing one genre. Now, yes, there are some that's this is my wheelhouse. Yes, but as a writer, you kind of want to branch out a little bit. You know, because after a while, yeah, you guessed it, boredom sets in. You're no longer motivated to write the same old, you know, see how they all tie together, you know. It's like a snowball effect. So that's why it's all starting to come together. So, you know, when addressing the genre issue, you know, ask yourself, you know, are you tired of the genre? You know, I mean, depending on how long you've been writing it, you know, or is it a, you know, specific element in the project causing it? You know, what genres or writing styles, you know, recently excite you? You know, I mean, because as writers, we're also readers, so, you know, you might have read something that's like, oh wow, that's really cool, you know, and you got excited, you know, even though it's not, you know, something that you would normally write. And, you know, what you do see in that, could you incorporate those elements or techniques into your project? You know, what stories or authors have you read really that captivate you? You know, and we're not talking about, you know, envy, jealousy, any of that. Just, you know, something you read, just like, oh my God, that's really good. You know, and, you know, you need, you know, look and see, what did they do well that caught your eye? You know, like I said, most writers reread, and I would say you want to, you know, emulate, but, you know, just find things where it's like, oh, you know what? I didn't think to write that particular thing. It's like, oh, that's a cool technique. And we'll talk about that later, because that's what, like I said, write first, and we'll deal with everything else later. But that's, yeah, like I said, this was short and sweet. Just, you know, touching on stagnation, boredom, genre fatigue. Also, hope this helped you get your starting point. You know, we did diagnosis. This is also part of diagnosis, per se. So this just gets you in to knowing where you need to shift. So the next segment, like I said, we're going to dive into the other root cause, which is skill growth. Because as writers, at some point, we're going to improve our craft at some point. You know, we're not going to write the same old that we did 20 years ago. I hope you're not doing that. But yeah, skill growth is when your writing is elevated beyond like your current project. You know, because when I say current project, it's like something you've been writing, you know, probably the past year or two, because that happens to me. And then, you know, by the second year, I'm going, you know what? I can write that a whole lot better. So yeah, we'll talk about that next video. If you do enjoy this, like I said, there's a whole bunch more coming. Hit the like button, and you can also find my infos and the links, you know, in my channel. And until then, happy writing, and hope to see you in the next one. Bye.